We are back. Took a week off for the 4th of July, and we are raring to go. So let's get to talking golf clubs, golf fittings, golf repairs, golf opinions, all on golf equipment here on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Well, because old golf club makers and golf club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. And that's what we started off with, was what we have in our drawers in our shops, and that's what it started out as, a great discussion on golf equipment, golf repairs, golf fittings, the whole 9 yards, right? And we talk about some other things as we're going on. So, number one, for all those guys in the States, 4th of July salute. Hopefully you guys had a very enjoyable 4th of July weekend. We had to take the whole week off and at my other business, and this one, it was just full on. However, we did have some fun stuff happen. And so that's the beginning of it. So what I want to tell you first and foremost is that we changed the way our driving range looks. And if you guys didn't know, that way, you guys see it behind me when the sun goes down. Those are indoor bays. We're starting to lower the ability to use those. And because of that, oh my, sorry about that. And because of that, we wanted to make the outdoor bays a little more attractive. So to kind of give you an idea of what we started with, there's what we started with. Now, these have been in there for a while. They look fairly ancient, and it's because they were. And our friendly neighborhood golfers, you can see, treated them with respect, and they were just awesome about hitting things straight and never once hitting the side of any of the bays whatsoever. That one looks like it's been through the war. And there's that one. There's several of them. So none of them were in pretty good shape. Some of them were coming loose from the cement. So one way or another, it was time anyway. So this just was all like a cross section of the right time to do things. So we had to remove the old ones, and this is our neighbor bringing that one out. And those guys made short work of it and turned it into that in the span of about, what was it? I bet if they were there 30 minutes, they were there all day. But I'd imagine they probably weren't there 30 minutes, and they got them all out. So that was great. So now we're looking at an empty spot there. And then, so what we had to do is, so what we did was we took all the mats out, laid them out in the parking lot, and disassembled them. So the mat comes with a rubber base, a stance mat, and a hitting area. And so we took them all apart in order to clean them, and in order to basically start over. And then this is what it kind of looks like. And bear with me for this one. It's not very long. And as you can see, this is there's a lot of dirt coming off of it for a fairly new mat. And that's using one of my old pressure washer, and I'll say old because we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so that was the old pressure washer. So the story goes with that one. Once I got done with the cleaning of the bays, which was not there. Well, anyway, we took the pressure washer as I started there. So we had rain twice. Both times I turned on the pressure washer. And about 2 out of the 10 bays, the pressure washer stopped, and the pump basically blew out the bottom. So I had to get a new pressure washer. Well, it just so happens it was starting to rain, so it made it very, very convenient to go make that happen, and we did. So we started off, we got it all cleaned up, and what you're seeing is this, we're taking care of you can see all the goo that's in all the mats and all the stuff, and we got rid of all of that. And Robin wanted to see that was my Submariner shirt that I was wearing. So anyway, they got it all out. Looks really good. We got all the mats taken care of. They're all nice and they're all drying out. It's doing pretty good. And then Erin decided, she said, no, you need to sit for a little bit. And I said, no, we got to get working. Then we busted open the dividers, and Robin found a person online. You'll have to ask her where they came from, but they're very affordable, and they're actually quite big, and they're very light per se, so they won't get with the look of it right there, the wind will get right through it. So that was pretty good. So once we got it all washed down, then we had to Range Mart out of California. Anyway, so Range Mart did us a solid. This is 96 inches, I think is what she was saying. It's about 3.5 foot tall here, and I'm going to guess to about 1.5 foot maybe. And of course, it's extruded metal here, and it's powder coated. And all we did was drill the holes and bolt them down, and so that's what that ended up looking like. So when it was all said and done, we got all done to it. It looks like this. As soon as we'll try it again. Looks like that. Of course, that's the end of the day too. All right, so that's the end of the day. We're doggone tired, and when we realized we took that, we forgot the ball feeders. But we got her done, and it's made so far. We've had it going for about a week. Of course, day one, this shows up. It's coming down like gangbusters, but it helped wash off the cement, so not too bad. But it seems to be a pretty good experience. Everybody's had positive reactions to it, and all good there. Then, not to be outdone, the picker, after we got the range going, the picker decided to come apart, and I got it back together, and now we're doing that. So that was Robin collecting golf balls. Alrighty, so that's a range. That's just one of the things that you have to do when you do the range, right? And so, it's upkeep. It's just what it is, and it's part of doing business on the range. And we like it, so it's doing pretty good. I think it'll do well for the up until you can't stand being outside. And we rearranged the mats, so we have all our better mats and all our better hitting areas. All the better everything is outside, so that they have a good experience. So we're good there. Alrighty, a video that I don't know if we talked about this one. Yeah, a video that I did on those guys. Or no, that's the next video coming up. I apologize. Video coming up on building these guys. A gentleman from Maryland sent those to us, and you see there's this 2 T200s and the rest are T100Ss. Very nice set of clubs, and they look really, really good. And so he sent me the shafts and everything, and there's the shafts. So LA Golf shafts, these are the L models, and they are brutishly stiff. Very, very thick walls, the whole 9 yards. And I go about showing you how I swing weight, and we talk about some club making tips in that. And that'll be out tomorrow. And there's the grips that went on it. So it was a good looking club altogether. So right now, if you haven't heard, please like, subscribe, hit that bell down below, right about here maybe. Anyway, like and subscribe, and that way you get more of the videos when they drop of all the stuff that when we do our reviews and all the other things that are going on. And we're talking more about that here in a little bit. So some more work that we had done. It was a Callaway. The funny part was each one of these clubs went to a different person. So we had the Rogue Driver, which has been performing extraordinarily well for us this year. This one goes to Justin, who liked the graphite design. We put it in his shaft, and he just went crazy with it. And now he has it in his fairway wood and now the hybrid here. And then this Tri-Hot. The Tri-Hot has been a surprisingly good putter. All right, and they call it the 5K Tri-Hot, and it's all talking about the MOI. It's very, very high number, and it's milled around the outside with the OG insert and external weighting, and it's a very nice putter. It really is. and it's been working very, very well. And of course, you got to be fit because there's different models. You just can't walk up and go, "Oh, this is the best putter." No, there's different ones out there, and they've been a very nice seller. They come with a Stroke Lab shaft and the mid-size grip in it that seems to fit quite a few folks, and it's very comfortable grip, and so it hits very, very well. So we went through that. Now, some of the other stuff. Um, we've been doing, I didn't take pictures of, but it was like a fix a broken driver week. And I reshafted a Ping LST. I reshafted an original Rogue. I reshafted a 3-wood ST Max Rogue. And I did another one. I think I did a Wilson Club. But yeah, it's just been all over the map. Taking out, just as we talked about taking out those shafts, I was doing that all the time. I got a pile of graphite sitting on my bench right now. I got to get cleaned up. And I know I showed you that. I think I showed you this. This was part of that recovery part of it. There's the Rogue. There's another 3-wood. There's a couple of TaylorMades right there. So it was pretty good. Another thing that we got going on in repair. Now, this is something we can talk about. Here's one that you won't hear about very often. And this is a good and bad story, but that's a Ping. And it's an older Ping, as you can tell. And there's a ball bearing right there. And that's that ball bearing sticking out. All right. And, well, so that ball bearing is problematic, and it was rusted in. And so what you have to do is underneath where this hosel becomes the plumber's neck, just where you see above the Ping, where it sticks out, where it sticks out and does that, you got to drill a hole underneath there and give it a little bit of, I like to give it a little bit of like rust remover, WD-40, that kind of thing, or we call it seafoam or something along that lines, and let it set for about an hour and let it do its work, and then clean it out. And then I heat it up. So I expand the outer part of it. So it's a really quick heat. And then I put it into a holder that I made, and I put Ping ball remover tool, and basically it's a 1x1 with a hole in the middle of it. And I did that in 2003 or 2004. Anyway, I pull it out, you put it in there, and bam. And it could take a few slots, but in this particular case, it really only took a couple of shots. The only unfortunate part about it is that this back here is not metal, it is plastic, and it cracked. And so I glued it back together, but it's still a crack. That's disappointing at best. So when the golfer comes in, we'll have to talk about what we can do going forward. All righty, some other fun things. Let's get back into fun things. Cooking over the weekends, over both the weekends. So I did another brisket, and we were cutting the brisket up in that particular end of it, and we also made some burnt ends. And I'm here to tell you, I think I got them figured out. They did really, really well. And now to add on the sides, we've added smoked baked beans. Smoked baked beans with bacon in it. Everything's better with bacon. So it turned out very, very good. In fact, we're just finished eating on them today. So not bad at all. All righty. Last bit is we had Matt Revlock came down on one of his visits that he normally does, and we had good weather, so we invited him to golf. So we went down to Crown Hill, and Bob joined us. So there's a threesome of us, and we did pretty good. So this was the kind of look that we had. This is number 9 going down. That line across, that's about 60 yards from the hole that's on the other side, and where we were standing was about a 200-yard shot. And this was them on the green as I was walking up to it. And then you guys know that number 12 that I always show you when I go, and it's that one that sits up way, way, way high, and you got to look down on it. Well, there you go. There's Matt, there's Bob, and there's me, and there's the number 12 behind us. And I got to tell you, Matt is one heck of a ball striker. He has total control of his ball flight, and he spanked both of us. He spanked me more than he spanked Bob. I just had a tremendously bad front nine, and I barely recovered on the back, but it was bad. It was bad enough that it did. There's no amount of me golfing good that would have recovered. Anyway, it was a great time to be had. It was fun to be around Bob and Matt. They're just a bunch of good guys, good golfers, and it was a really good time. Now, one of the things is we got onto the back nine. We're on the top. This course does a lot of this, and at the back nine, you're at the very top of the course. And about 4 holes left, about 4 or 5 holes left, the storm clouds come running in. And he kept looking back. There's a cloud coming. There's clouds coming. Yeah, we know there's clouds coming. It looks like it's going to rain on us. No, it's not going to rain on us. It looks like it's coming pretty close. No, we'll be fine. And it basically just knew that we were golfing because the clouds just skirted right by us, and all it did was blow on us a little bit, and it was perfect. And it didn't actually start raining until we were on our way out. So it was great. All right, so we got that one. And the last bit is, I don't know if this does. There's a bar of soap I got at a hardware store, and it said steel cut, grain triple quality, 3 times bigger, made in the USA, not from France. I don't know why that was important. And the best part is not for clowns. It was such a comedy marketing thing. I had to get at least one. Okay, so if you guys have been watching the Scottish Open, right? Scottish Open, Xander Schauffele won by a stroke over, I think it was Streelman, and he had a really good. No, it wasn't Streelman. It was I can forget his name now. And then the Barbasol, I didn't see who won the Barbasol, but that one kid that was playing, man, oh man, was he strong. He was just busting it. I watched 2 holes of it, and he was 205 on a par 3 and hit an 8 iron. It was crazy good. Oh, Kitayama won. It came in second. Let's see what Barbasol. Mullinax. That kid was on fire. He was doing very, very well. Ended up 25 under in front of Streelman. So good for him. And then the Senior Players Championship, Kelly and Stricker and Alkers. That Alkers has just been on fire. Good for him. And so there we go. So there was a lot going on, and we're up and coming to the Open. Tell me what your picks are. Who do you think's number 1? Right? Who do you think's going to be the guy that brings home the trophy? They being the Open champion. That'd be a good discussion to have. All right. I think we got through it all. Let's go to some questions all the way to the top. There's Matt. Jim and I had a great time playing with you and Bob. What a great course. Question: when do you know it's time to replace wedges? New grips are awesome. So reason why Matt's asking this is that he had the Jumbo Max grips, and he said he lost feel in the golf club head. And we talked about that the size fit him actually pretty good, except they were heavy. And he saw his handicap starting to climb up. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about a very low single digit. And so he went back to the Jumbo Golf Pride, but we put a few wraps underneath of it and instantly could feel better. So there we go. Now, when's it time to replace wedges? Wedges are typically a couple of things. Number one is the underneath of it and the sole and on the face. Those are the 2 biggies. Now they always talk about rust. If you guys have been reading any of these articles that have been out there, that the rust really isn't that big of a deal. So it takes a lot away from that trusty rusty. But if you like the shape of it, that's fine. But if you find yourself wearing out the face, so you'll know that not necessarily by looking at it, but if you're a guy or a gal that checks the ball not necessarily pull it back, but checks the ball, meaning in 1, 2 hop and it stops, or in a 1 and 2 and 3 hop and it stops, that kind of thing, where you check the ball. And all of a sudden you're hitting the same spot, the same green, the same everything, and it goes tink, tink, and it just keeps rolling. You're not getting that same bite. Now, not after the first time you do it, but if you're finding out your rounds, you're just not stopping the ball like you used to, probably time to change the wedge. And then you'll look down and the wedge should look worn, right? Because most wedges, it's not necessarily all the groove stuff, but it's the stuff between the grooves. That face area is milled and it has a coarseness about it. And you can wear that off by number one, you're hitting in the sand, which in of itself is it's basically like hitting it with sandpaper. You do that a lot, particularly if you're down south, Myrtle Beach, Florida, where the soils are very, very sandy, and you get into these places, you can wear out a wedge pretty doggone quick, because not only are the sands nice and fluffy and gritty, but so is the soil. So you got to kind of watch that, which takes me to the sole. If you get in there and you're using your wedge quite a bit, you can actually start concaving your sole. Now that's rare, but it happens. And you can concave, and then you're not getting that same. You're starting to hit diggers where your wedges are starting to get stuck as opposed to rolling out. Now that you might be able to get your wedge to last a little bit longer, and by killing the leading edge a little bit on it, and it doesn't affect the viability or the ability for it to be legal, because you're just killing the leading edge instead of getting in there. All right, good one. Charlie, 3542, you go, man. Well, I feel your pain. I went pretty low. I shot the before 2 rounds prior to, I got into the 70s, and then I shot a very low 80, and then I get with those two guys, and I shoot literally 90, and then I came back the following week, and I thought, do I really want to play? Because I was going to do some filming, and I just decided to put the camera up, and we started playing, and I ended up shooting a 79, I think. So not too bad, right? Not too bad. All right. Are you about to spin out those wedges that you should be? Could that be an indicator? Just want some new ones. Matt is a tremendous short game guy. If nothing else, I really watched him hit his wedges and how he got through. He was basically standard issue golfer guy for hitting wedges and never stubbing, right? He was always through the ball, and it landed soft and could run if he wanted to, would stop it if he wanted to. And that was all I was thinking on the wedge game was get the hands going, don't stop, get the hands going, don't stop. And I was landing them. You'd have been proud of me, Matt. I did pretty good. Camilio, what do you say, sir? Hello, guys. How's everything going? We're going good. I think we're really having at it. The weather's been beautiful. I mean, we've had rain the last week, but this week it's going to be high 60s to high 80s, and it's just going to be going. So not too bad. All right, question for the day. What do you think about AMT black shafts? Thinking about the shaft shortage. Those are 115 on the short clubs, 95 on the longest. Do you prefer graphite shafts on long irons? Well, the AMT is ascending mass technology. That's what it stands for. So, and so you're seeing exactly what it's supposed to do. I've seen where that going from a different shaft in the tall irons and different shaft in the short irons works, but is it worth it to go with the expense? And the answer, in my opinion, would be no. Does it work? Yeah, but the difference is not going to be that grand, and because it would be my opinion that in irons you like a lot of consistency, and once you go super duper light at the top, you basically might as well have a hybrid, and hit that and make it easier to hit that way. All right. How was the barbecue on the 4th? I bet you had it in full swing. Probably a neighbor stopping by. Actually, one of the days we did take some up to the neighbors. Not only did I do some of that, what you saw there on the pictures, but we also did some Western style ribs a little bit later. And Robin said she liked those pretty good too. So we're not too bad. Camilio, his game is not too bad. Still struggling with driving. Technique still not in a good spot, but I defend myself with a short game. There you go. Ah, okay. Funny how that works. Hit great on the range, and then does not follow the course. Truly. Used to rip the ball. So what a lot of guys when Camilio, what a lot of guys when they talked about in the range, everything goes well. So think of it this way, and I don't know if you do it or not, but other folks have told me about this. And when you go to the range, a lot range, and since we have it, but range practice needs to have a focus, not just going taking a bunch of swarps at golf balls, particularly if you're planning on getting better. And how you start that is just exactly how you would finish it. So what do I mean? You want to start with your low clubs, wedges, 8-iron, that kind of thing, and hit finesse shots that get you loose, get you making a turn, making you finish, getting that belt buckle looking at the target, all those different things, and getting you in a rhythm. And then start hitting some full swing shots in that same area. Again, you're in that rhythm. Then you move up the set. And how you move up the set will depend on how many golf balls you have. But when you finish, the last thing that you're hitting is the driver, right? Everybody wants to hit the driver grand, and they never practice their other stuff. And as you're seeing, you're being kept in the game because you have a pretty good iron game. Well, so the reason why I'm telling you all this is that if you go from the range to the course and you finish up with the driver and you have some really good experience with the driver, that is the last club that you hit before going to the tee, of which course you need a driver. Now, instead of starting with the driver and working your way down to a putter, and then you got to turn around, you got to go all the way up to the tallest club in the bag, and it makes you feel weird. So start with the shortest club in the bag, do some putting, then go do some wedging, do some short irons, do some middle irons or hybrids, and then finish with a driver. Then go to the first tee. All right. Tough as 6 inches on the course, the ones between her ears, and you are not wrong. There we go. Peter, how are you, sir? Hopefully Myrtle Beach is treating you well. Thank you very much. There we go. Wear marks should be fine until they start zipping off in different directions. Then it's time to look at it differently. All right, Peter, decided to replace my 2-year-old Acro Graphite shaft with a 222 TGI Graphite shafts. Nice. I don't see where you'll be disappointed. We all like the Acro shafts to be sure, but the TGIs are very nice. Now, I will say this, and while we're here and we're talking about it, and I hope they got it fixed in that. In the black paint. In fact, I had them. You see right up in here, it looks kind of blackish. Anyway, they had. In fact, I think. I can't find them. They're up there somewhere. They're right behind me. Anyway, the black paint, and I've had this happen on just a few of the clubs, but after about 3 months or so, that the paint, not the shaft itself, but the paint cracks and it goes straight up the shaft, and it goes about yay far. And it looks like the shaft is cracking. Upon further inspection, it looks like it's just the paint, but you can't tell that until you take the club apart and sand it down or whatever and see what's going on. So I've had to replace a few of those because of that. So keep that in mind when you see it. If it's going straight, just long ways up the shaft, that's probably what's happening. Mr. Hodges from the UK, and it's very sunny. Well, before it got dark. There you go. The dark time. There we go. Oh, look at that, the up button. Way to go, Miss McGough. Welcome to McGough. Please look me up. Oh, yeah. We will certainly get out there. Yes, we are. I like the Open. I like the thing about the Open is particularly at St. Andrews, now that I've seen it in person, it's not very long, but it's very strategic. And the thing is, when the weather pops up, and it kind of caught me by surprise to see these guys in the Scottish Open, or I believe maybe it was the Irish Open. They're in the Irish Open wearing toboggans and cold weather gear. And then I see the Scottish Open, and you see some folks in shorts and regular golf shirts. So the weather really plays a part in the Open, and you got to have at least one day where the wind's howling and the rain's coming down, and they just got to play through it. And that'll be the real test. And then let it cool off and come back and just watch them all cut loose. There's Justin. He's the one that got the orange shafted club. That was pretty cool. All right, Travis K. watching in New Jersey. What is the true method of measuring length? Playing position or a tabletop ruler? Well, if you're in the playing position, okay, let's assume a few things before I give you the answer. Playing position or tabletop ruler? If the tabletop ruler has a flange on it of which you would set your iron on, and then you get it to where it marries up, I personally don't see the difference. All right. Now, there are other rulers out there, the tabletops, where they lay, not that you don't look at the club like I'm looking at you, that you lay it flat. And they have these pins on it, the Mitchell ruler to be one of them. And everything there is at a 60-degree angle. Okay, I believe it's 60 degrees. And if you look at the rules of golf, that everything is measured from a 60-degree angle. That's in the rules of golf of how they measure it. So if you get longer, now they were talking about going from 48 to 47, and as short as you can go is 29, right? You can't make anything lower than 29. I believe it's 29. Or is it 19? Putter might be no longer than 29. Anyway, you can't make them any shorter. So the only time that this will really come into play is when you're bumping up against the high or the low length. Now, I've done some testing on the difference between the two. Of course, 60 degrees, if you're in the top end, the 3, 4, 5, and quite possibly the 6, the length measurements will virtually be the same. It's when when the lie angle starts getting up, right, or up, it starts getting up, that it might actually come out a little shorter when you measure it on the top. So I think you're in good shape that way. But by the rules of golf, laying it down into that 60 degree, you win every time. However, consistency wise, I like the tabletop ruler with the flange on the bottom. Oh yeah, if it stays dry. Emmanuel, how are you, sir? Afternoon all. Hope everyone's good. Busy week. Golf boom is still going strong. Shaft supply is still an issue. My driver is still my favorite club. And on any given day, one of my 6 putters. Emmanuel, not bad, man. Not bad at all. I fell in and out of love with the driver this whole week, and the irons, it's about the same. My putter, my putter head started having a little crackle in it where it tick 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 tick, and I think that's what it absolutely got inside my head when I was putting with Bob and Matt, and I just couldn't take it. So I brought it back and I just took it apart and re-glued it myself, and I called the folks just to let them know. In fact, I still got to send them my serial number. Uh, so so that's what that one does. And after I fixed it, I started putting pretty decent again. Matter of fact, I had, what was it, 418? Had 14 putts on the front, and I had 18 putts on the back. So yeah, it was coming right along. Matt, soft wedges will show wear marks. It's unavoidable. As long as they work, should be okay. That's what I'm saying. Still working on the putting. You and me both, buddy. You and me both. Josh and Courtney Higgins. Hey, how you doing, guys? Like the picture. Good picture, guys. Good picture. All right. Well, thank you. Ankle's doing well. I'm sure she's in the clear. There you go. David Rogers. Hope all's well. Any updates on coming down to Pinehurst? There are many great courses here. Actually, we are. I believe it's October. Mrs. McGolf has the number of it. We were going to try and get on number 2 and go through that way, and it just became far too pricey for what we were going to get out of it in our minds. One day for sure, but not this year. So we're going down, and we have a list of courses. All I know is we're staying at a place that has a pig roast when we get down there. So that'll be part of it right there. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it is pretty. I didn't think that I would like those metal pieces. There was just something about metal that I didn't like. I don't know what it was, and that's the reason why I did it. But Robin found a really good deal and got them out there. And you know what? It looks a lot cleaner. I like it. Yeah, having it out there. I've got a picture. I flew the drone over top of it to see. And the funny part is you could see exactly where I stopped with that daggone thing. So I might have to go back out. Hey, Redemption Custom Clubs. How are you, sir? There you go. I wasn't wrong. Austin Analog, listening in Austin, Texas. Well, thank you, Austin. Thank you for listening in. I need those leg golf shafts from Iron 2. Corpus Christi says hello. Well done, sir. Well done. 100 plus temps. Woo! You and the snakes, man. So, talking about the LA golf shafts. So I went out and went to their website and did a look around. And the L series, the whole idea of LA Golf is for those folks that just want to get after the golf ball. Think Bryson DeChambeau, think Dustin Johnson. These are guys that are just going to just wave at it as hard as they can, and strike it. You might hit something, and that's just where they're going. And they're definitely going after the younger crowd, and that's their aim. And they make no bones about it. And more power to them. And these things are stiff. Now, keep in mind, I had their heaviest one that you could possibly put in play, and it was an X-Flex. Well, it might have been one more above it, and it was a 123-gram graphite shaft. And when you make one of those, it is a lot. It is a lot, and I guarantee you it was way more than X. So you can come out of your shoes and hit it, and it'll stay with you. Sonny V, heading to Wisconsin in a couple weeks. Plays Sand Valley and Erin Hills. Looking forward to that. Erin Hills. Now I don't know about Sand Valley, but I know Erin Hills. Man, from what I saw of it, that's kind of a Linksys style course, and playing next to the water, it ought to be a real challenge. Good for you. Now that you don't have to get tested to come back, right? Well done, John. What's the ball bearing for? Well, the ball bearing it swedged itself into the shaft. So what they would do is they would drop the ball bearing into the shaft, and they would take they would take the ball bearing and they drop it into the hosel, and they'd take the shaft and and pressure push it on, and that ball bearing would find its way into, and it would press itself against the sides, and on it would stay, and it would never come apart. And for the most part, they don't. The only time that those things break is if somebody's throwing them, or they just totally rust off, because I'm not sure what the bearing's made of, because you saw it was just lightly rusted. It wasn't totally rusted through, and that was a very, very old putter. So, and I've done a few more. There's been a couple out there that have been difficult, but we got them out. Sometimes it takes a few good whacks. In this case, it only took a couple. The unfortunate part is the thing cracked, and but that's what it was for. It swedged it in. They don't do that anymore, as I'm pretty much aware. At least I hope not. There's Matt telling him to be good. What sauce did you use on the barbecue? I used two different kinds, Charlie. But again, I was using the Soul Brothers. Since I got plenty of it. On the briskets, I use the Watch Your Mouth. It's as if you took the sweet and the spicy and you put it together. And so it's got a really, really good flavor, and it doesn't bite you until the end. It's like a smack at the very end. And man, those are good. And then on the other ones, I just use the regular sweet ones on the pork. Dennis Hood, what time is supper? It's already come and gone, bud, but hey, I think we got some leftovers. Okay. There's Mr. Young. How are you, sir? Glad you joined us. Whoop, 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 whoop. Went too far again. Holy cow. Alrighty. He said we were talking about it raining. Yeah. Courtney needs some golf lessons. Well, Josh, we used to do that, but we've just gotten so busy with fittings. That's just one of the things we had to drop. But around this neck of the woods, there's a, let's see, there was a guy south in Portsmouth, but as I understand it, he has left the course. So I don't know who's there right now. There's an older gentleman that's at Chillicothe at JC's. He's good with giving lessons. And at Crown Hill, there's a guy there that does real good with younger people. His daughter is quite the accomplished golfer. So if you're in the local area, I would talk with them. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Matt. We'll have to do that again. Well, in northern Ohio, it's just like when we were living in Iowa. You get that lake effect type stuff, and you never know. You turn around and it looks like it's going to be gorgeous, and the next thing you know, you got 6 inches of snow. No doubt, right? That guy that was his first win, and I'm glad to see him. And the dude is big as a linebacker. And watching the Barbasol, and they were playing in the same grouping. So you got this guy. It looks like he's 6'5", 230, and just could knock down a brick wall. And then you got Streelman, who looks like he's 120 pounds soaking wet, and looks like he's 60 because he's gone gray. And he's smooth. And on the same par three, where that young kid took an 8-iron and bounced by it, the hole, Streelman takes a 6-iron, smooths it out, and is like 3 foot from the cup. What? Mrs. McGolf is leaving early on us. All right. Xander 2 for 2. You know what? I was going to look that up, Matt. I'm sure there's a stat somewhere that says how many times the guy, because they used to go over there to get warmed up, and how many times the golfer that won that tournament the week before the Open actually won the Open. I would imagine that number's not very big. There's Ashley. How are you, sir? Fitzpatrick is he's a favorite. Shoffley was a favorite, or is a favorite, and so is Fitzpatrick, because they have the hot hand right now. And what we're looking for is a strategic golfer. right? Somebody who can place their golf shots, and somebody who's long enough, because there'll be a couple that you can run up onto the green, except for those greens are just massive, right? And so you got to kind of think who fits in that category and who's there. Now that another one that we might want to look at is that Katayama. He's come in second place in a couple of these tournaments, only just to be beat out by a hot hand. If he can pull that off, I do like Fitzpatrick for that as well. But you're gonna have to keep the ball down. I don't know if he's a low ball hitter or not. Shoffley, I think, it has all that. I just hope that his momentum keeps going, that he doesn't get too tired. That can happen. Uh, Personally, the guy that I would like to really see do well and just come right out of it is Jordan Spieth. I don't think he's going to win, but man, oh man, I'd really like to see him pull one off. Huge lag TV. Now there's a logo right there. I've been watching you from Dubai for a long time. Well, thank you, Dubai. Wow. When deburring golf clubs on a bench grinder, how much grit should the wheel be to remove the dents and scratches? Uh, in every case, lag, we'll call you lag. In every case, whatever you can get that is the finest. All right. And you start with the finest and you work your way up until it's gone. And then you finish back with the fine so that you can get that finish you're looking for. So different wheels, those little Scotch-Brite wheels, those little Scotch-Brite wheels have different grits, and they also have different finishes. And the original grinders, the stone wheels, those don't work very well. But we always used Scotch-Brite or 3M Scotch-Brite, and it was like a really very firm. It was just shy of being stone, but it was very firm, and that's what we used for that. Now I use actually what I use is on I use sander. I found that I have a jet, it's a 2 inch by 2 inch by 30, 2 inch by 32. And I use if you can imagine, it's a red or a blue nylon belt. It's like a greenie, only it's a bluey or a reddy. And that's what I use because they're very aggressive. And I also use a 1200 grit belt as well to really finish off. And then before I go into polishing, if I want a mirror finish. There's Mr. Sweden. Let's see. I saw that you were sporting some Washon clubs. How'd those work out? First hole in one. Congratulations, Krister. All right. Well done. Slam dunk. Straight in the hole. You jarred one. Nice. Do it with authority. I bet that shook everybody up. Good job. There you go. In Myrtle Beach, man, that's just like every time you take a swing down there, it's just like you hit it on a patch of sandpaper. How much does having more grooves on a wedge affect spin? Well, there's always been that chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? Washon believed in a lot more grooves in order for the edges to grab the ball and less face interaction. And that was just prior to the groove rule change. And now what you're seeing in a lot of wedges, fewer grooves and more face, and the face being more coarse than it was because a lot of guys had a lot of grooves, and when they didn't have a lot of grooves, they oh, it's the neighbor. My dog's protecting me. When they had the more grooves, that would grab. Now with the more face, it does the grabbing. But that's where the thought process was. That's a good question. There's Krister's getting a whole lot. There you go. Thank you. And that's a question. That was a good one. Krister over here, when a golfer hits a hole in one, he's responsible for the bar tab when he walks in. and announces that he got a hole in one. I don't know if that would be the same over there. Jake, what's up? Afternoon question. Will hard stepping a stiff shaft or a soft shaft an extra effective trajectory of the ball? If you're only going one, no. One step is not a big deal. Okay, it's just not a big deal. Now, if you're going to go a few, then maybe, but not one. We have that tradition here. The bar was closed, saving it for later. You got lucky is what that was. Yeah, there you go, right? James, can you use... I don't know what patina dyes are. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the the patina dye is. Now, the only way that you'd probably be able to do that is if the forged wedge or forged club was raw, right? And that's how we do when I do bluing. When they talk about bluing a wedge or bluing a club, you have to take off all the exterior coatings in order for the dye or the blue to take place. So you have to make sure that's number one. Once it's in a raw metal form and you've got it where you want, I don't see why it wouldn't work if it's a metal dye and keep it there. Now keep in mind, unless you coat this dye, it's going to come off as you hit it, just like most coatings do. Four putt, can you talk about the effects of tipping on a driver shaft? Yes, I can. So tipping of the driver shaft typically makes the driver shaft more stiff. Why is that? Because if you're everything being the same length, if you take a little bit off of the tip, you have to have a little bit more on the butt. And when you have more butt, that's the really stiff part, and it makes it more stiff. So it frequencies out at a higher number. That's what that does. Now, depending on how much you tip, you can make it stiffer, which in turn can affect ball flight, making it a tad bit lower, and then also you might have another part of bringing the club around. You have this ability. Sometimes the torque will get impacted, again, depending on the amount that you do, and it could affect you on your closure of your club. Now, if you tip a half of an inch, I'm talking in large scale. If you tip a half of an inch, is all that going to come into play? No. It'll get a little stiffer by design. You'd probably be unnoticeable to the naked eye on ball flight, and the feel will probably feel a little bit better. Now you take off an inch, and then a lot of that stuff will come into play. Brendan, what do you say, sir? How's things over across the way? You getting excited? You gonna go see any of the rounds? This is the 150th, man. I'm thinking about getting on TV and ordering me a pin flag. I've got one from the 144th, I believe. Yeah, I got one from if on that one, was it Jordan Spieth was like one shot away from actually doing a Grand Slam, so that would have been awesome. Jack, what do you say, sir? Hey, prep dinner all you need. That's more important. Phil for the Open. Wouldn't that be something? That would be something. Although, based on his last bit of play, I doubt it seriously. I just do. I hope so. Is it worth changing from an X-Hot hybrid to a new Apex hybrid? Yes. That's all I can tell you is yes. The X-Hot, I had those, the X-Hot, particularly in the Pro model. The smaller one's a little different than what would be the other one. Hold on just a second. If all she's going to do is bark, she can stay out there. All right. But in the X Hots, they didn't have any of the technology that was in them before. The hybrid in the Apex, whether it be the Pro model or the regular model, has a lot going for it. It has the flash face. Uh, it has the jailbreak. It has a lot going for it. Plus, it's adjustable. One of them's adjustable. The regular one's adjustable, and it hits very, very well. Now, if you're and I will say this, it'll probably hit a lot higher than the other one, so you want to keep that in mind. Thomas, what do you say, sir? Got my first fitting, but as far as length, they just did a standard static measurement instead and suggested ping retro lofts. My confidence is not high without hitting a true club. Did it with a GC4. Well, I got a real thing about fitting length, Thomas. Length is directly equal to the consistency of your golf game. All right, because it puts you into a particular stance, a particular posture that allows you to make those good swings, and then that transfers up and down the set. Now, the argument can be made, well, you're never ever on level ground. Well, I'd say, well, that's crap because, yeah, you can be on level ground. However, the argument does stand that you're not always on level ground. And that's true, but that's golf, right? If that was the way it was, we'd all be playing foosball. So I really, really like testing for length. And that's what I do here. That's the very first thing we go for so we can at least start with an agreed length of a club. And what I have is a series of irons, same head, shaft, grip, flex, everything except for length. Once you get warmed up, I put the impact tape on it, and we look to see what kind of a pattern you can make. And I'm looking for a tight pattern, not necessarily just one in the middle and all over the place. I'm looking for them all in one spot. Even if they're on the toe or the heel, doesn't matter. I'm looking for the pattern. Now, from doing this for a few years now, the pattern is such that the tightest pattern is also becomes the club, that length of club is also the one you hit the furthest. That's another thing. So it's been a real fun thing to try out, and then from there you can take that and go anywhere from there. So depending on how strong you're playing or whatever, the GC quad is not the GC quad's not so bad. Depending on where you did it, right? I mean, it gives good information, particularly if you put the dots on the club face. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Oh man, wow. I don't want to hurt your feelings, Brendan. So I'm not going to tell you that I could have got them and had them built and sent them to you before this, but that's beside the point. I just hope they get there soon, brother. I just do. Hey, Robin. You are welcome, Josh. Joseph, what do you say, sir? Good day, sir. Can you recommend cavity back irons that has little to no offset? Looking to move out of my 210s this year. Yeah, there's a couple out there. Number one would be the Mizuno 223s. They have they're a player's cavity, very players oriented too. They don't have a very, very strong loft. They do like that. Another one would be the Wilson CBs. That's one of my faves. They're a very forgiving club, very small cavity, as far very not very deep cavity. Nice radius sole. Those things hit a ton. They absolutely hit a ton. The other ones, just like we were talking about with Brendan, the ZX clubs, the sevens, the Model 7s would do that. And again, they're more players like. And last but not least, if you wanted to have almost none, the Rogue Pros, they have none. It's a hollow body, so it looks like a blade and it plays very, very well. And so those are ones that could be easily, and they're a little stronger, so they go a little further, very much on par with the CBs. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. The D9 Fords are pretty good too, Charlie, but I like the C9s if you're just looking for a low one. But they do pretty good. I'm looking at them now. They're a little deeper than the other ones, but the D Forge is much stronger. Actually, you can, Dennis. A lot of people used to do that, as long as you don't go too crazy, because the rule used to be the coarseness has to be no more than one of those nail files that you had, the nail brushes. You see the what you always had in the studio where the women were doing like that kind of a coarseness right there. And I used to do that. You tape off everything but the face and just get after it. You can use glass bead. There's what they call Black Beauty, and you crank it up to about 90 to 90 pounds, and you get exactly what you're looking for. All righty. Yes, they do, sir. Yes, they do. That was that thing you need. If you have a Lowe's up there where you're at, Charlie, that bar of soap I was telling you, it's the label of it is called Naval Diplomacy. You need to look it up. It's funny. It's just a funny read. Mr. Bradley Stewart. What do you say, man? Yeah, Cincinnati. Crown Hills in Worthington. Not Worthington. Williamsport. I always get that number wrong, that address wrong. Williamsport. I'm glad you liked it, man. I'm glad you liked it. Oh, look at here. Matt looked it up for me. Mickelson, look at that. All right. I'm going to wait. It's going to be fun to watch because at the rate I get up, I'll be able to watch a few rounds or a few holes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was funny. I got to play at, to kind of, we got to play at Waterford Castle and play at the course that was there. And the pro that was there, she said that it was a 1 to 2 club wind, and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And here in the States, 1 to 2 club wind is down and back. And what I failed to understand is that she meant it's a 1 to 2 club wind in every direction. And so if it was blowing left to right, right to left, that it could literally blow your ball out of bounds. And it did. I ended up in the gorse at least 3 times that day until I figured out what she meant. So if it was blowing against you, you had to hit into the wind in order to let the ball carry you back into the fairway. It was really weird hitting out over water and watching it blow in, but it was quite the learning experience to be sure. There you go. Like the 2 wood. It is. It's a pretty good little club. Oh, we're getting in. All right. What if the pattern is fairly large across the tape? If the pattern is fairly large across the tape, Austin, chances are, if we're talking about length and what I was doing, if the pattern goes across the thing and there's like one here, one here, one here, chances are that's probably the wrong length. Choke down and retest it again. Arturo, sorry. Try playing way calm in a calm day is usually 25. Yeah, no doubt. Big Sky Country, man. That's out there. Although that's Montana, but close enough. The yeah, that can those. I mean, when I tell you what, it was, if nothing else, it was a great experience playing in Ireland and playing in Scotland. and you get those winds coming from every direction and having to, say, okay, it's one. Everybody thinks, oh, it's a one club wind when it's more like 2 and 3. And hitting a 5, hitting something that you hit 200 yards into a hole that's 150, it really tests your metal, and it's really that's pretty good. Oh, if it's just one large mark, if it's tighter than all the rest, normally, Austin, what it is, it's a comparison. So if you have one that's big like this and another one that's out here like that, then the one that's closest, well, it's the smallest one. Very rarely as you see a dot like that. It's normally a pattern. Okay. Ooh-wee. Well, guys, we made it all the way to the end. And it's 6:35. We didn't go as long as I thought we would, but hey. And we saw some new ones. We saw Dubai, right? We saw Wyoming. And we still have, we have Ireland and Sweden and Canada and all over the U.S., East Coast, West Coast. Very well done. I appreciate the questions. Please keep in mind that tomorrow we will have a video out. I posted at 7 o'clock my time, and if you would, it's another boxes to builds, and until we get some reviewing type stuff to do, and I have actually two, and I am working on a video of my very first course review, and I've got all the information. I just have to put it together now. So hopefully we'll see that one soon. So again, like and subscribe. Check it out on my other social media, Facebook and Instagram. Hit the like button, and as always, let's see your scores go low.